Sorry, my camera slipped. The tripod it's on is a piece of shit. Sorry. Morning. I'm baking bagels, if you're wondering. I have my first batch in the water now. just gonna go ahead and recite some poetry to wake my brain up. A little sleepy this morning. Didn't sleep very good last night. A little bit warm in my room. You get a fan or something, I guess. Hamlin Towns in Brunswick, by famous Hanover City. The river Weser, deep and wide, washes its wall on the southern side. A pleasanter spot you never spied. But when begins my ditty, almost 500 years ago, to see the townsfolk suffer so from vermin was a pity. Rats, they fought the dogs and killed the cats and bit the babies in the cradles, and ate the cheeses from the vats and licked the soup from the cook's own ladles, split open the kegs of salted sprats, made nests of the men's Sunday hats, and even spoiled the women's chats by drowning out their speaking with shrieking and squeaking in 50 different sharps and flats. Alas, people in a body to the town hall came flocking. 'Tis clear, cried they, our mayor's a naughty, and as for our corporation, shocking, to think we buy gowns lined with ermine, for dolts who can't or won't determine what's best to rid us of our vermin. You hope because you're old and obese to find in the furnace in a grove of ease. Rouse up, sirs, give your brains a racking, to find the remedy we are lacking, or sure as fate will send us packing. At this the mayor and corporation quaked with mighty consternation. An hour they sat in council. At length the mayor broke silence. For a gilder eyed my ermine gown cell. I wish I were a mile hence. It's easy to bid one rack one's brain. I'm sure my poor head aches again. I scratch it so, but all in vain. Oh, for a trap, a trap, a trap. Just as he said this, what should happen? At the chamber door, but a gentle tap. Bless us, cried the mayor, what's that? With the corporation as he sat, looking little through wonders fat. Nor brighter were his eyes, nor moister, than a too long opened oyster, save when at noon his paunch grew mutinous, or a plate of turtle green and glutinous. Only a scraping of shoes on a mat, anything like the sound of a rat makes my heart go pit-a-pat. Come in, cried the mayor, looking bigger, and in did come the strangest figure. His long queer coat from heel to head was half yellow and half red. He himself was tall and thin, with sharp blue eyes, each like a pin, and light loose hair and swarthy skin, nor tuft of hair on cheek nor beard on chin, but lips with a smile went out and in. There was no guessing his kith or kin, and nobody could enough admire this tall man in his quaint attire. Quoth one, it's as my great-grandsire, starting up at the trump of doom's tone, had walked this way from the tombstone. He advanced towards the council table, and please, your honor, said he, I am able, by means of secret charm to draw, all the creatures living beneath the sun. They crawl or swim or fly or run after me so as you never saw. And I chiefly use my charm on creatures that do people harm. The mole and toad and newt and viper, the people call me the Pied Piper. And here they notice round his neck a scarf of red and yellow stripe to match with his coat of self-same check. And that scarf's end hung a pipe, and his fingers they noticed were ever straying, as if impatient to be playing upon this pipe, as low it dangled over his vesture so old-fangled. Yes, said he, Pied Piper as I am, in Tartary I fled the Cam, last June from his huge swarms of gnats. I eased in Asia than I am, the monstrous brood of vampire bats. And as for what your brain bewilders, if I rid your town of rats, will you give me 1,000 guilders? 150,000 was the exclamation of an astonished mayor and corporation. Into the street the piper stepped, smiling first a little smile, as if he knew what magic slept in his quiet pipe the while. Like a musical adept to blow his pipe, his lips he wrinkled, and green and blue his sharp eyes twinkled, like a candle flame where salt is sprinkled. And ere 3 shrill notes the pipe uttered, you heard as if an army thundered, and the muttering grew to a grumbling, and a grumbling grew to a mighty rumbling, and out of the houses came the rats tumbling. Great rats, small rats, lean rats, brawny rats, brown rats, black rats, gray rats, tawny rats, grave old plotters, gay young friskers, fathers, mothers, uncles, cousins, talking tails and pricking whiskers, families by tens and dozens, brothers, sisters, husbands, wives, followed the pipe before their lives, with sweet, streety pipe advancing, and step for step they followed dancing, until they came to the river Weser, where it all plunged and perished. save one whose stout as Julius Caesar, swam across the river ferry. I see the manuscripts he cherished, two Radland Woman's commentary, which was, at first shrill notes up the pipe. I heard a sound as of scraping tripe, and putting apples wondrous bright. Inside presses bright, and it seemed as if in a moving way of people cut board, leaving a jar of constant covers, and drawing the corks of train oil flasks, and breaking the hoops of butter casks, and it seemed as if a voice, sweeter far than the harbor by salt and called out, "Oh, rats, rejoice! The world's grown to a vast dry saltery. So munch on, crunch on, take your lunch on, breakfast, supper, dinner, lunch on, and just some walking sugar punch on, already stayed like a great sun shone. Gracious, scarce an inch before me, just as we thought it said come for me, I found the western rolling over me. You should have heard the Hanlon people ring the bells till they rocked the steeple. Go, cried the mayor, get long poles, poke out the nests and block up the holes. Consult with carpenters and builders, and leave in our town not even a trace of the rats, when suddenly up the face of Piper perked in the marketplace. First, if you please, by 1,000 guilders. 1,000 guilders, the mayor looked blue, so did the corporation too, for council dinners made rare havoc, with claret, moselle, vin de gras hawk, and half the money wasn't punished, the selling the thing is but a British. You paid a sum to a wondering fellow, in gypsy coat of red and yellow. Besides, quoth the man with a knowing wink, our business was down at the river's brink. We saw with our eyes the vermin sink, and what's dead can't come to life, I think. So, friend, we're not folks to shrink from our duty of giving you something to drink. A matter of money we put in the cook, but as for the guilders, what we spoke of them, as you well know, wasn't joke. Besides, our losses have made us thrifty. 1,000 guilders, come take 50. The piper's face fell and he cried, "No trifling, I can't wait," he sighed. I promised to visit by dinner time Baghdad, and accept the crime of the head cook's potage. All of these rich in, for having left in the Caleb's kitchen of a nest of scorpions, no survivor. With him I drew no style of that. I lost my train of thought. Piper's face fell and he cried, "No trifling, I can't wait," he sighed. I promised to visit by dinner time Baghdad, and accept the crime of the head cook's potage. All these rich in, for having left in the Caleb's kitchen of a nest of scorpions, no survivor. With him I proved no bargain driver, but don't think I'll pay to stiver. The folks who put me in a passion may find me pipe after another fashion. How, cried the mayor, do you think I brook, being worse than a cook, insulted by a rival, with idle pipe and vegetable libel? Threaten us to do your worst, blow your pipe there till you burst. Once more he stepped into the street, and to his lips again laid his long pipe of smooth straight cane, and ere he blew 3 notes, such sweet soft notes as yet musicians cunning never gave the enraptured air. There was a rustling that seemed like a bustling of merry crowds justling and pitching and hustling. Small feet were pattering, wooden shoes clattering, little hands clapping, little tongues chattering, and like foals in a farmyard with barley is scattering. Out came the children running, all the little boys and girls, with rosy cheeks and flaxen curls, and sparkling eyes and teeth like pearls. Tripping and skipping ran merrily after, the wonderful music was shouting and laughter. The mayor was dumb and the council stood as if they were chained into blocks of wood, unable to move a step or cry to the children merrily skipping by. Could only follow with an eye that joyous crowd at the piper's back, and how the mayor was on the rack, and the wretched council was on the feet as the piper turned from the high street to where the west had rolled its waters, right in the way of their sons and daughters. However, he turned from south to west, and to Coppelberg Hill his steps addressed, and after him the children pressed. Great was the joy in every breast. He never crossed the mighty top. He's forced to let the piping drop, and we shall see our children stop. When lo, they reached the mountainside, a wondrous portal opened wide, as if a cavern was suddenly hollowed. Piper advanced and the children followed, and when all were in to the very last, the door in the mountainside shut fast. Did I say all? No one was lame, and could not dance the whole of the way. And in after years, if you would blame his sadness, he was used to say, it is dull in our towns since my playmates left. I can't forget that I'm bereft of all the pleasant sights they see, which the piper also promised me. For he led us, he said, to a joyous land, joining the town in jest at hand, where waters gushed and fruit trees grew, and flowers put forth a fairer hue, and everything was strange and new. The sparrow was brighter than the peacock here, and their dogs outran our fellow deer, and honeybees had lost their stings, and horses were born with eagle's wings. And just as I became assured, my lame foot would be speedily cured. The music stopped, and I stood still, and found myself outside the hill, left behind against my will, to go down limping as before, and never hear of that country more. Alas, alas, for Hamelin, there came to many a burgher's pain, a text which says that heaven's gate opes to the rich at an easy rate, as the needle's eye takes a camel in. The mayor sent east, west, north, and south, to offer the piper by word of mouth, wherever it was men's lot to find him, silver and gold to his heart's content, if only he could turn the way he went, and bring the children behind him. But when they saw 'twas lost endeavor, the piper and dancers were gone forever, they made a decree that lawyers never should think their records dated duly, if after the day of the month and year, these words do not as well appear. And so long after what happened here, on the 22nd of July, 1376, in the better memory to fix, the place of the children's last retreat, they called it the Pied Piper Street, where anyone playing pipe or caper was sure for his future loses labor, where suffered they hostelry or tavern, to shop with mirth in streets so solemn, and opposite the place of the cavern, they wrote the story on a column, and on great church window painted, the same to make the world acquainted, how their children were stolen away. There it stands to this very day. And I must not omit to say that in Transylvania there is a tribe of alien people who ascribe the way and dress of which their neighbors lay such stress, to their fathers and mothers having risen out of some subterranean prison, into which they were Japan, long time ago in a mighty band, out of Hamlin towns in Brunswick land, but how or why they don't understand. So will he let me and you be wipers, scores out with old men, especially pipers. And if they piped us free from rats or from mice, if we promise them aught, let us keep our promise. Good day to you, viewer. I think you're the only viewer. How's your day so far? Or night? I guess it could be any time of the day. Wherever you are. My first thought was he lied in every word, that hoary malicious eye. Asked what's working of his lie on mine, and mouth scarce able to afford suppression of the glee that pursed and scored its edge at one more victim gained thereby. What else should he be set for with his staff? What save to waylay with his lies and snare all the travelers who might find him posted there? And asked the road, I guessed what skull like laugh would break, or crutch can write my epitaph for pastime in the desperate thoroughfare. If at his counsel I should turn aside and do ominous track which all agree hides the dark tower, yet acquiescingly I did turn as he pointed, neither pride nor hope rekindling at the end described, so much as gladness some end might be. For what with my whole world wide wondering, what with my search drawn out through years, my hope dwindled into a ghost not fit to cope with that obstreperous joy success would bring. I hardly tried now to rebuke the spring my heart may find a failure in its scope. As a sick man very near to death seems dead indeed, and feels begin and end the tears, and takes the farewell of each friend, and hears one bid the other go, draw breath freelier outside, since all is over, he said, and the blow fallen no grieving can amend. While some discusseth near other graves be room enough for this, and when a day suits best for carrying the corpse away, with care about banners, scarfs, and staves, and still the man hears all and only craves, he may not shame such tender love and stay. Thus I had for so long suffered in this quest, heard failure prophesied so oft being read, so many times among the band to wit. The knights in two dark towers search and rest their steps, that just to fail as they seem best, and all doubt was now should I be fit. So quiet as despair I turned from him, that hateful cripple, out of the highway into the path he pointed. All the day had been a dreary one at best, and dim was settling into its close. It shot one grim red mirror to see the plain catches stray. For mark, no sooner was I fairly found, Christ came after a pace or two, that pausing to throw backward a last view, over the safe road 'twas gone. Grey plain all round, nothing but plain to the horizon's bound. I must go on, naught else remained to do. So on I went. I think I never saw such starved ignoble nature. Nothing throw, for flowers as well expect a cedar grow, but chortle and spurge, according to their law, might propagate their kind with none to awe. You'd think a burr had been a treasure trove. No penury and nearness in remains. In some strange sort were the land's portion. See or close your eyes, said nature peevishly. In nothing skills, I can't help my case. 'Tis last judgment's fire must cure this place. Calcine its clods and set my prisoners free. If there pushed any ragged thistle stalk above its mate, its head was chopped. The vents were jealous else. What made the holes and rents in the dock harsh towards leaves, bruised as to walk all hope of greenness? 'Tis a brute must walk, passing their life out with a brute's intents. As for the grass, it grew as scarce as hair in leprosy. Thin, dry blades pricked the mud, which underneath was kneaded up with blood. One stiff blind horse stood stupefied. One stiff blind horse, every bone and stare, stood stupefied, however he came there, thrust out past service from the devil's stud. Alive, he might be dead for aught I know, with red gaunt and callum neck astrain, and shut eyes beneath the rusty mane. Seldom went such grotesqueness with such woe. I never saw a brute I hated so. He must have been wicked to deserve such pain.